welcome. Today we're doing another paint night demo. So we're going to be painting this nice little poppy thing. It's in Canada Remembrance Day, and we like poppies around Remembrance Day. So we're doing a themed one for next week. Or tomorrow, I should say. To start off, the supplies we're using are these Artist Loft student quality paints. These are soft bodies, so they have a lot of moisture in them. They retain it really well, so they'll stay wet for a while. And then as far as brushes go, we're going to be using these 4 ones. I don't know exactly if I'm going to use all 4 of these. I suspect that this little round one in the middle I'm not actually going to use, but these are the ones that I always have on hand, so this is what we're going to go with. To start out, when you're working with acrylic paints, hello, Joe Mama. Nice to see you. So, to start out with acrylic paints, one thing you always want to remember is acrylic paints really work well with water. So we're going to start by just taking our big brush, dipping it into our paint water, nothing in it, and just painting some water right on the canvas, just like that. And what this does is it helps you spread the paint around on the background a little bit more, keeps your paint wet longer at these initial stages, and it's usually really helpful when we have backgrounds like this, because it just lets us have a little bit more control over how our paint goes onto the canvas. There is absolutely such a thing as putting too much water on. If you do that, what you'll notice is as soon as you touch the canvas, the paint will start spreading right away, but no worries about that. All you gotta do if that happens is take a paper towel, even your hand works, and just wipe it off. Spread that moisture out, make sure it gets all over the place. Just a little bit more down here, and right around these edges. These guys are always the tricky parts. They don't tend to absorb as much water, and you don't hit them as much because you're just not thinking about it. Okay, so to start off, there's a couple things we want to look at. We always want to start with the background when we're painting. And so in our reference here, we can see that there's this like bright white area in the middle. It becomes light blue around the sides, and then it becomes green around here, and then it becomes pretty dark around this bottom edge here. So what we're gonna do is, I think we're gonna start with putting some, what do I want to do? Maybe just start with some white strokes in a circular shape. So what I'll do is I'm going to dip in with my big brush, put it into my white paint, and we're going to start putting it in about here, I would say. Doesn't have to be in the exact same spot. All we're looking to do is get a little bit of paint on the canvas right now. Help us understand where this might go. And looking at our ratios here, right, if we look at this little kind of circle-ish of white here, right, we can see that it takes up, well, maybe about half of the canvas. So I want to make sure that it doesn't go all the way to the top, but I want it to get pretty close. And then we want to come down to about there. So now we've got a little bit of white on there. Now we can start mixing in some lighter colors. So let's make a light blue, and we're going to do that by mixing white with blue. So I'm going to take some white here, take a little bit of blue, put it in. You can always start with a bit of blue because blue goes pretty far. It mixes pretty well with the white. So we can always start with a little bit and add more if we want. And I think I want a little bit more in there. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue. Beauty. Bluety. Okay, that's a good place to start. So now we can just start adding this on. I'm going to start up here, go on back and forth. You'll see there's going to be a nice texture coming through. I want that texture. I do really want to see a little bit of this white showing through the background because we want it to be nice and textured. And then as we come up to this little white circle that you can't see anymore, you'll see that it starts to blend in a little bit around here. And I'm just using basically random strokes, almost slapping it back and forth on the canvas, and that'll help us get a nice little texture. Gonna take a little bit more blue on my brush and start adding in a little bit more blue in these areas, just to, again, reinforce that idea that we want this nice little texture. We can throw a little bit of blue in that middle there where we put that little white circle, and then we can keep going around. Don't forget to get the sides. Always easy to forget to get the sides, but it's nice if you can remember to do them. And come down around maybe here-ish. Da-da-da-da. And I want a little bit more of that dark blue in. So I'm going to take a little bit of the blue right on here, and we're just going to add a little bit to some choice areas all around. You can see it's pretty stark to start out with, but then if we go over it and we blend it a little bit like that, it just kind of goes away. And we still wind up with these darker blue areas, but it blends in much more nicely. Throw in some random strokes. We get a little bit more blue in there, just to help with that textured background. And then we're gonna move over to the right side, and it starts getting a little bit of green over here. So anytime, hi, how's it going? Jomo, oh, Potato Lover 69. I see you talking to each other, sorry. So we wanna make now a green sort of halo around here. I think that I'm gonna bring a little bit more of this blue over the top here to start, especially right around here. We want it to be a bit darker. And again, don't forget to get those sides up there. My technique is pretty loose. It's one of the instructions they included with this one was don't be afraid to be loose. Coming down here like this. And to get it green, what you need to do is you need to mix blue and yellow together. So we can even take some yellow just on our brush here. I'm not worrying about washing it or anything. And we're just gonna slap some yellow all over the canvas, wherever we see green. And then we can come back over it with a little bit more of this blue, and we can just mix that right on the canvas. Again, looking for a nice texture. We're trying to get these scrubby sort of loose strokes here. Nice. And so as we're working that, I'm not even really adding much or any blue to the brush. Just a little bit of yellow onto the canvas, and then we're mixing it on the canvas. And we're gonna make sure that this gets full over here. Gonna make sure that this comes down into here. Nicely done. Okay. And let's go ahead, grab a little bit more water on our brush. Put it over here. And then we can use that to extend this down here, get a little bit more coverage going. And then we want to look at blending the sides in here. So I'm gonna bring this down in here. Add a little bit more blue, I think, towards the center. A bit lighter than that, so let's add a little bit of blue right there. You can, again, go back over here, add some more texture. And then we're gonna add a bit of blue right around here, up in here, and then around here, I think. And after this, we wanna come in with a touch more white and open up this area just a little bit. So we're gonna go in, grab a bit more white, and open that up. So I'm gonna take just white on my brush like this, and we're going to now do a little bit of blending. Make it, again, really, really rough, really, really loose, and that should result in a nice background texture that we see here. It's kind of fun, because you just don't have to think about it too much. You just kind of roll around with it, and you're using your eyes while you're doing this to be like, okay, is this circle kind of in the right place? Is it big enough? And the handy thing about paint is it always covers up more paint. So you can always just add a little bit more of this white paint up or down or around wherever, and we're gonna really make this area nice and bright. I think I want it to be a bit brighter. Is that a painting you already made? So this up here is a painting that is part of the Paint Night library, which I have access to because I teach paint nights through that company. And I'm gonna be teaching this one on Sunday. So this is the first time I'm painting this particular painting, but I've done many paint nights and they are oftentimes quite similar. I like this one though, it's nice. We're doing it for Remembrance Day, which if you're not from Canada, Remembrance Day is like our Veterans Day, more or less, same sort of idea. Again, we've opened that up. We've got a lot of nice white in there. I do want to bring a little bit more green down around here. So I'm just going to dip in, grab a little bit of yellow, and get a little bit of yellow down in this area. Like that. And maybe just a bit more blue too. Right over top. You mix some blue, it becomes greenish. And I want a little bit more yellow. Right around here, I think. And I want a couple more pops of yellow all over the place. So that's a nice place to have it. There's a nice place to add a little bit of green into here. That looks nice. And then let's go add in a couple more splops of yellow. Maybe one right there, maybe one right there. Just again, to kind of mess up the background a little bit, add in a little bit of green, add in a little bit of interest and change it up a bit, right? It's nice. Thank you so much. A little bit more yellow, maybe down here. We don't have to be too careful about where it is or where we're going. The big thing with the yellow is we just don't want to overdo it because it's going to be a little bit distracting if we do. You're going to get a little bit more blue in here to kind of bite that back. And then we're going to start, I think, filling out the bottom here. I think we've done enough for the background. It looks good enough, looks pretty, and we can go from there. I can see though that I've accidentally knocked around some of the paint and splattered. So I'm going to go ahead, fix that up real quick. And there we go. Okay, beautiful. Looks good to me. We've got a nice bright area. Maybe we'll add just a little bit more white in the middle. Brighten it up just a touch more. Right around here and here. and then just blend that in with circular motions. Yeah, don't be afraid to bring any of that color in the middle too, okay? All right, now let's add a little bit of darkness here. Right around here, there's a wedge of, I don't even know what it is. It kind of looks like purple, but I think that what it is it's some black mixed in with some blue. So I'm gonna take just some blue on my palette here, mix it right over the blue I was already using. It's okay if there's like a little bit of white in it. It's not enough to matter. And then we're gonna mix in a little bit of this black. And so that's getting a bit dark. I think I do want to kind of bring this into a purple direction though, because it's going to go nicely with the poppies, and looking at it, it does look a little purple. Purple and green also go nicely together oftentimes, and that looks, yeah, about right. I accidentally got a little bit of yellow in there, but that's okay. Yellow gets pretty easily overpowered by pretty much everything else. And let's go ahead and add a little bit of this darkness down right over here. So I want this to be a little bit in kind of a wedge shape or a triangular shape as it comes down. And I'm thinking we'll keep the top pretty rough because we're gonna throw some grass and stuff over this. It's supposed to be kind of a shadow to the grass. So we're just gonna make sure that this gets nice and dark down here, right around the bottom. Da-da-da-da-da. And then maybe pull it up on the sides. Let's get a little bit more of this color. I'm gonna grab a little bit more blue. Put it in there, get a little bit more of this red to bring it into a bit of a darker direction. It's too purple now though. So more blue. Okay, so that's good. And let's get a little bit more of this dark color right around here, right along the bottom of my canvas. Just like that. Kind of the suggestion of grass almost. And we're gonna pull it up to, I think, a bit lower than halfway. I don't want to quite pull it all the way up there, but I do want it coming up a little bit. Just about like that, I think. And that'll be a nice little shadow for our grass to lay against. Pretty happy with the background at this point, looking pretty good. Now, how do we put this grass in is the next kind of good question. There's a couple different things we can do. I think we want to put it in front of our poppies. So the next step for us, I think, is going to be starting to lay in some of these poppy branches. Now, there's really two different ways you can go about doing that. I think that with the big brush like this is probably going to be the most efficient way to do it. I find it looks a bit green from afar. Yeah, you're talking about up here, right? So this looks green over here. I agree that this maybe looks a little bit more green, so I can always update that too. If we feel like it needs more green, we can add more green. Take a little bit more over here. Get a little bit more green. Oh, this is a bit more of a dark green. I don't want to use this color. So I think I'm going to leave it for now. Okay. Let's go ahead and do some of these poppy stems. I'm thinking that the easiest way to do it is with our lovely little detail brush here, because they are pretty skinny, although it probably is going to take me a little bit more time than I really want to spend on it, but we'll see. What I think the poppy stems are a really nice dark green, or kind of, again, this kind of dark bluey green color. So let's go ahead, take a little bit of green. Right down here. Got a nice dark green color going. Maybe even throw a little bit of black into it, perhaps? Yeah, a little bit of black will help. Gets it to be a little bit more gray. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, cool. So we got a nice green, and what we're gonna do is add some paint water to that. Mix it around. I'm probably gonna wanna grab a little bit more paint water, just so that I get a lot of flow going on, and it's much easier to get the paint off the brush if it's just a little bit more wet. Hey, as for where we want to place these things, you want to kind of pay attention to the whole overall shape. So essentially this one doesn't have a very strong shape, but you can see that it sort of curves almost like that, or is possibly even diagonal. So we want to bring our flowers in this sort of shape right here, kind of there. So let's throw in a couple flowers for ourselves to actually go ahead and put it in. So let's take this guy right here, right at the top-ish of this, and we're gonna take this guy straight down. Gets a bit thicker as it gets towards the base. I think that these ones don't necessarily get thicker, but I find plants usually look a little bit better when they do. And let's throw in a little bit more. I'm using my pinky to stabilize my brush. You're an art therapist, or were you the client? I was the client. I am not a therapist, but I did art therapy and I really liked it. I never thought I could do any sort of art, and then I started doing art therapy and I was like, oh, I can do art. So it was a lot of fun. And then we come down here with another guy just right there. Actually, today's almost a little bit like a therapy day. Like, this is something I got to do for work, but I was working on some other stuff and just got, like, I don't know, a little bit too overloaded with the office work. I was doing a bunch of number calculations to be like, okay, how much money do we need to make here? And it just got to be a little bit too much number, and I needed a little bit of a break from it. So I decided to do this instead. Still nice and productive, but it's not quite as worky feeling because it's more so just playing around painting. A lot of these have squiggly stems, so let's do another guy coming down here. Kind of has a wave like that, and then it again disappears into that darkness right down there. He's also got a guy crossing over him, and these poppy bulbs that haven't fully opened, I think that with these guys, what we can do is we can do them first in this color, and then we'll add a little bit of darker color on top. So let's just start right here, kind of goes up, and then wiggles down like that, and again, gets a little bit thicker towards the bottom. And when we want to make these poppy pods, pretty easy to make them with these guys. You can maybe do this a little bit more efficiently, but they're not really big. So let's just take a quick look at the shape. They are a cup shape. So this guy's upside down, obviously, a little bit. I want to make him bend a little bit more down that way, and then we want to get that cup shape. So I'm going to pull this up here like that. Going to pull this one up here like that. And then from here, we can just add kind of like a lumpy, bumpy top. This one looks a little bit different than most of them. It is a little bit rounder. I'm not 100% sure why, but I just suspect that's kind of just the way it came out. But that's roughly the shape we're going for. And now that's not the right color quite yet, but it's the right shape. It's in the right place, so we can work with it. Okay. We have a couple of these guys coming straight off, so I want to be a little bit mindful here when I'm putting these guys together that I leave enough space for their flowers. If it helps at all, I can always paint over it, so I can always just kind of mark out some boundaries maybe for these flowers, like one right there, one right there, one right there, and coming down here. And looking at that, I can tell that it's not going to be long enough, but it gives me kind of an idea of where it might need to be. This guy can maybe go right around there. And so that gives me an idea of where I need to avoid, because I want to leave enough space so that these don't get too crowded and look weird. This one comes up right over here, and we're going to start it pretty skinny right over here. And then come right down there, like that. Okay, and then we're going to pull this guy off. Comes up a little bit higher, but not very, and we're just going to bring it almost parallel with this other one right down here. Starting to run out of paint on my brush, but that's okay.
Get a lioness on the ground.
She inserts a team, and then we have a capture kill option.
I build a plan, and I run it.
All right.
Me.
YouTube always doing his thing, reminding me how much I should buy YouTube premium subscription or whatever it's called, despite the fact that I really do not want to. All right, got that. Okay, we're looking pretty good so far. We've got another little guy coming in from the right side here. Actually, two guys. I don't quite know where that's coming in from, but I'm going to go ahead and lower right about here maybe. We're going to do one that's just kind of coming right off, and this guy is going to fill up that space. And I think I want to kind of hold off on this one, but it's okay. We'll just go for it. Pull this over here, and then again, do that cup shape. And these ones that are facing down don't really have the cup shape now that I'm looking at them. They have more of like a bulb shape like that. But I think that it's good enough the way that I've done it. It definitely reads the correct way, so that is all I gotta do for now. And then we're gonna keep on going with some more of these lines. Okay. And from here, we're going to go a little bit shorter down here. Pull this guy just basically straight down. More pressure as you push down will result in a thicker line. So usually recommend people will do a little bit more pressure as they pull the line down. Helps widen it up. Okay, let's go. They get a little bit more crowded as we move towards the right here. Their sizes also change a little bit. So there's another guy, perhaps right around here. And then right down here. Beauty. Okay, and then these guys, we've got a couple kind of coming in the background a little bit. I don't know what I want to do with those guys. I think that what I'm going to do is just try to do a really thin line all the way down here. And that'll cross over. I need to kind of remind myself that there's a flower here, otherwise I'm definitely going to forget. So I'm going to add a little tick there, just as a visual reminder to myself where that flower should be. And then this guy should be over here. A little bit thinner. A little bit thinner means it looks like it's a bit smaller and therefore a little bit farther away in the painting, okay? These guys we can add our little bulbs to right now already. So these guys are, again, very much cup shaped. So they have kind of an uneven top and then a cup shape like that. There we go. Beauty. Wow, that got a bit thick on me, but that's okay. All right, and then another one right around here, just a little bit shorter. Beauty. Alrighty, coming up to almost the top of the painting. We got another one coming right down over here. And then the other one coming up over here-ish. This is going to be just a little bit shorter, also kind of facing the opposite direction. And then gonna go right around here, throw in one of these guys. And they can cross over, because why not, right? Plants normally cross over each other when we look at them in nature, so that's pretty normal. Lots of people get worried about their lines touching when they're doing paint nights, but you know, honestly, it's very normal for lines to overlap when we see things like this, so don't worry about it at all. Alrighty. And we got a couple more of these guys to throw in. So we do have one kind of coming in down here. Gonna go in over here and pull that down. On the right side, we've got another one of these little bulby guys. It's kind of coming right off the canvas actually. So for us, we're gonna take this one maybe right about here and then come down here. Again, right about here, and come down right there, and we'll go fill out that bulby part. Again, cup shape, like that, and then we can just kind of pull that directly off the side of the canvas because it's touching right there. Okay, looking at a couple things here. I need one more bell shape right around here. So let's just do a little circle like that, and then bring this guy down there. Beauty. Okay, nice. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Looking at my canvas, actually, the aspect ratio of my canvas is not the same as here. So these poppies look a little bit tall, which is okay, but we can also shorten them up later on by just adding taller grass in. So that's a really good example of actually how you can use these sorts of things to your advantage. And change things so that make things kind of appear shorter or not as short. Right around where the bells of these guys are, we need to darken them up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is since this color is still wet, I'm still going to use this, but I'm going to add a lot of black to this. So what that does is it makes a black that is not fully black, because a full black would stand out a whole hell of a lot like that. So you can see, whoa, right there. Right there, this spot of black sticks out a lot, right? And so if we instead take a little bit of black, mix it into this color, and then mix these colors together, we wind up with a darker color. Actually, that was a lot of black, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Wow. But it's not quite as dark as a proper black. And we can pull that down there like this. And so to show you how that might look on this guy, that helps us darken up these little poppy pods just a bit. Like that, okay? Wow. So let's take more of this dark color, start filling it in some places like this. And then I think next we'll probably start putting some grass on. And then the poppies are gonna be the last thing we do, because there's some poppies that stick out there, and these ones up top, you can get away with totally doing them earlier, but I think that it just doesn't make a lot of sense if you have to put the poppies down. Usually you want to kind of work in a workflow or a pattern, and it makes more sense to be all painting the same thing at the same time. You'll have a more consistent result that way, and it might not be, you might get a little bit better as you go on, but if you try to do it, then come back after taking a break and try to do more, it'll probably be just much different than the original attempt, and it will look different. But if you do them all at the same time, they'll look the same, which goes a long way into helping the overall look and feel of the painting, okay? Alrighty, a little bit more darkness right over here. And I definitely over-darked on these guys, but that's alright, we can work with that. And there are some places where we want to add even more darkness. So I'm going to take some more black, mix it in, get with the darker color, and right around where these cups are, we want these to have little sort of circles like that. Probably can't see that very well on the screen, but there we go. And one right here. One right there. Okay. Looking at where we are and where we need to go, we need to start adding some grasses on the bottom here. They look like a mix of greens and blues. So I think this time I'm going to swap to my, I think it's called a filbert brush. Where did I put it though? I knocked it on the ground. This guy, because there's some like leafy stuff going on, and this guy is pretty good for doing leaves. So for the leafy stuff toward the bottom here, we'll start with that. It's going to be a pretty dark green. So all I'm going to do is take a little bit of blue. I'm going to keep mixing it near this green over here, because I feel like they're close enough proximity. We can make them work. And then let's mix these guys together. We're going to be pulling a little bit of that dark color in as we mix this, which will help darken it up a little bit. It does need to be a bit darker. Right now we're looking at mostly a blue green versus like a mostly yellow green. And I think that that's kind of where we want to go. Let me just grab a little bit more yellow. And then we're going to want to darken it up with a little bit of black probably, because we don't want it to be too blue looking. And we do need it to have a little bit more yellow, which means it has to be lighter than our original color. Okay, so we've got a nice green now. That's a good color, and we need a little bit of black in this. I'm gonna take just like the tiniest amount of black, not very much, and mix this in here. And that does darken it up just a little bit, so that's nice. Nice. We've got a little bit of a duller color, a little bit more nice sort of leafy color. And then for some of these leafy shapes, what we can do is we can just come in with this guy, and we can just, let me think here. So I do need to make this just a touch taller than it normally would be. We can just poke in like this, I think. It might be a bit big. But that's all right. Kind of looks almost like a fern frond or something like that. So we can go ahead and fill this guy in. I want to go in, I think, the direction that the leaves are going, so that it looks like I've got one continuous sort of leaf there. And then we want to add a little bit more texture to help define our leaf. So I think that for this, what I will do is go in with just a little bit of black on the brush. Gonna mix in a little bit of this black and green together and try to get like a good combination of these colors. And then we're gonna go in and just try to add definition like this. There we go, comes a bit darker. And I just want to blend in the middle a little bit. I've taken a little bit too much paint on my thing here. That's okay though. Okay. And we're going to grab a little bit more green and put that towards the top of each of these leaves. Okay, I don't know if I love that leaf. Didn't really work the way I was hoping it would. I also just dipped in something that's definitely not my paint water. But looking at this, I guess like they're kind of all over the place. They don't really need to be particularly... It's just a bit chunkier than I want it to be. So maybe if I swap to my square brush like this guy, we could defry that and see how that works. Okay, and let's try doing another one of these leafy guys, but this time with our square brush. That looks a little bit nicer, I think, a little bit more delicate. Yeah, it looks a little bit leafier, that's kind of nice. Okay, so maybe I'll use that for those leafy bits. This one's got a little bit more blue. What else do we want to do here? We want to just start throwing in a lot of grass, I think. So what we'll do is we're going to go in with maybe just mostly a green. So I'm going to keep working with this color. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to it. This green is quite dark and also I would say quite blue. So I'm going to keep that in there. I've added a little bit of white. That was a bit of a mistake, but oh well. And we're gonna add in black. A little bit more blue. A little bit more yellow. And eventually we should get to a nice color for us to use in our background. Nice. Okay, I think this is a nice dark green, kind of tilted toward a blue direction. So we're gonna start adding this guy in, I think down here. And yeah, I don't know what the best way to do this is. I think I'm gonna just pull this up from the bottom here and just try to add in some grass over top of that blue. So the blue kind of works as like a shadow or like more distant grass, and it works well for us here. And so we'll throw these guys up here. And our grass is gonna grow a little bit as we get towards the right side here. I also don't wanna neglect this part where my easel hits it. I always do that, and it always is a problem. So let's go up. And grab a little bit more blue here. Okay, got a little bit more of this green going on. Looking at where I am versus where the painting is, I'm thinking that we're gonna need darker colors going towards the bottom. So we're going to just get this green in there. Looks nice, looks lovely, and let's get that a lot darker. And we're gonna make that kind of like almost that dark purpley color that we used at the beginning here. So I'm just gonna keep on going over here. If I do that, then it might turn brown, so I don't want that. So let's just add a little bit of darkness right around here. And try to be random as you can when you're doing this stuff. It usually looks a lot better when it does kind of have like a little bit of randomness to it, but we're basically just breaking up the color with like a little bit of this dark. Always looks nice. And let's smooth these guys out a little bit, just so they're a little bit more subtle. And then we'll go back in, wash our brush maybe, and come back in with more of a purple color towards the bottom. There's some nice areas of yellow in here though, like right around here is kind of like a nice kind of yellowy, golden yellow part. This is always the fun part of the painting where you can kind of go through and you can see, you know, what it needs, figure out what is going to work best for it. Take a little bit of blue there, take a little bit of red, mixes up a nice purple. Oh no, I got white into it, which is not ideal, but that's okay. Now we can take a little bit of this black to darken this whole thing up. And let's get a little bit of this going on in this corner down here. So taking a little bit of that black, but it's a lot of purple too. And then around here is where we kind of come and start losing it a little bit. There's maybe just a touch over here. Now we can go back in with a little bit of water on the brush. Oh, I'm sorry, Cheddar. I'm dropping paint water on my dog. Poor buddy. Okay. And then let's smooth this out a little bit around the tops. Just smacking the wet paint with my brush helps bring it in, preserves that texture, and stops it from standing out too much. Now there's a lot of like little white splotches and stuff like that going on down here that I think we want to kind of add in. I'm thinking that what we want to do with these guys are probably Rusty Point, no thanks. Probably, we don't want to go in with straight white, but I think if we go in with, I mean, it looks like pretty much straight white, but I don't know. Let's take the white and let's mix it into this green here and see if we can go into like a really light green, and hopefully that'll make a good effect for us. Typically, you want to avoid using straight white just because it will stand out a lot. And normally, if you mix a color kind of like this, which is just white mixed in with that green, it will look white when you compare it to the background. Need a little bit more water in my paint. And then let's start throwing these guys down around here. I think that they're supposed to be kind of like reflections, or not reflections, but like definition for some of the things going on, like this poppy. I have to go back and fix that one. It's not quite bright enough either, so I'm gonna add more white. And a little bit more white. Okay, and that's tons of paint, so that's great. And then let's go ahead and add a couple of these guys in, like right down here-ish. I don't know if I like this detail brush. It's not really giving me the edge I want. I'm gonna go back to my big square boy here. And then we're going to, yeah. We don't want to mix it in too much because it's going to make it look a little bit gray and overly blended, but what I want to do is just, yeah, take little strips like that. So this is the brush to use, I guess. So we're gonna go ahead, take this in. Yeah, that's nice. Get a little bit of that in there. And it's still maybe a little bit wet over there. I should perhaps hold off on this because I'm picking up a little bit of this background color that I don't need to be picking up. Which is fine, but just not quite ideal enough. Or, well, not as ideal as I would like it to be. Okay. These guys are all kind of awkwardly ending, so I do need to bring some of these guys down. Task the bottom here. That's looking nice. We're looking good. We're in a good way. And let's get a little bit of this going on. Like right down there. And maybe a bit over here as well. Just kind of breaks it up nicely. I think I'm going to leave that there for now, and that's enough white, enough highlights that we got going on. I really don't like my detail brush, honestly. I recently got some new brushes, and these detail brushes are just really thick, which is like not a quality you typically want in a detail brush. But that's all right. We can always come back over some of these areas where we flubbed it and just add in a little bit more of this paint, which helps it look nice, well smoothed out. Beauty. Okay, I think at this point, there's lots we could do as far as adding little like accoutrements and things like down at the bottom, and just kind of generally making something that's nice to look at. I think what I would like to do first of all here is just take a little bit of this greeny color that I've got left over and throw in just like some weird stuff going on over here. Just a little bit. And yeah, we want it to be a little bit darker as we get towards this way. We want to add in some interest, some texture, just with a couple spots here and there, break up those colors. Now I think we're ready to move on to the flowers, so we're getting close to being done here. I don't know how long we've been going, but I feel like this one has kind of gone by pretty fast. Looking at my flowers, let me think here. Gonna use the filbert brush, this one. And then I think what I want to do is just kind of go at it, I mean, best I can with this and see where we land. So if I'm looking at this correctly, it seems to be red mixed in with a good amount of black, but there's kind of some, differences and things going on. So let's start off with red or black. I mean, probably red. We're just going to go in with this straight red color. It looks about right. I am a little bit worried that it's going to be not opaque enough, but there's only one way to find out. So for these guys, what we're going to do is do a flower kind of like that. Whoa, and pull that in kind of like that here. Pull this guy in from the bottom. Like that. Wow. And then maybe another one near the top here. This is what I was worried about with the opaqueness of the paint here. It's not quite dark enough for what I wanted. It's also, I think, got a little bit of white in it, so it doesn't have much because it's not going to pink, but a lot of times, actually it doesn't have yellow in it. I think it might be yellow. It's got something else in it because it's not just this flat red. It's got probably a little bit of yellow. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of this over here. And we're going to mix in some of this yellow. Don't need too much. We just want to make it like a slightly brighter red. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So let's take a little bit of that and just kind of see. I don't know if I notice much of a difference. Alrighty, well, let's just keep on trucking. Let's try this. Yeah, here we go. This looks okay. Let's try this on a new one. Okay, and then, so for these guys, I mean, the flowers truly are random shapes, more or less. So let's just go ahead and put them in here. I'm wondering if I can do these guys as blobs first, and then just kind of pull some of the things out that we need to pull out. My blob strategy probably, it might work. We'll see. I should wait until the end and then be like, okay, it did or it didn't work. These guys are looking a little bit too round. This one in particular, I think, it just needs to be a little bit more wedge-shaped. And then this guy down here. Nice. Okay. And looking at these guys, again, these flowers are just kind of like random fucking shapes. I don't know don't know. It always makes me uncomfortable when people do things like this. Because, like, I know it works. Obviously, it looks fine. But, like, it just... I don't understand the geometry of it, and that bothers me. I suppose it'd be nicer if we could just kind of, like, get the general shape again. But we'll go for it, see what happens. Okay, and then we're gonna pull this guy down over here. And for these guys, I think I'm gonna go for this one. I'm gonna try the whole make the shape first strategy. So we're gonna go ahead and whip this around here. So, YouTube is pissing me off. Looking good. Okay, and then for these guys, I think starting with the bowl shape is nice, and then just pulling these guys in roughly seems like probably one of the better bets. Okay, don't mind that. And that should be pretty easy to learn / teach, so that's nice. Let's get a couple more of these guys in, and then let's go ahead and adjust the shapes of these flowers a little bit, I think. Oh, I missed one. There should be one right here, but I kind of missed the leaf. So this one is more of like an oval shape, kind of like that. And then from here, we can probably pull in a little bit here. And then pull a little bit here. Okay. And then there's going to be another guy, a little bit darker, but like right down in here, right below these guys. So this guy is going to be one right there with like a little chuck in it. Yeah, that one looks pretty nice. Okay, so we got here, here, here. We need one more, which is right around here-ish. So right here, we've got one coming in this way. Okay. Alrighty, now we can probably start going in and adding a little bit of depth to these guys. So I think that what we want to do, we're going to save the white highlights for last. And there's some areas in here, I don't really understand why some are black and some aren't, but we're just going to go for it. I'm just going to take a little bit of this color that I've been using here, put it off to the side, and I don't think I'm going to need too much black, but I want to add a little bit of black into that, get it a bit dark. And then we can come in on some of these guys and try to fix up the coloring. So this guy should be a bit darker right around here. Very nice. already. And then we're gonna do another guy that's like, probably right around there. And a little bit right around there. Again, this is just like a little bit of black on my brush with some of the red that I've been using. So we're gonna take, again, these guys right here and just add a bit there. Add a little bit coming around back here. And we're gonna need some more red back on that one. So I am going to come back to it, but I think I'll leave it for now just because I want to keep on trucking with the paint that I've got on my canvas already. And from here, we'll go there, there, and there. Let's get a little bit more of this black right over here. Ah, that was a lot of black. I didn't realize that was that much. So we're going to be pulling this over here, pulling this in here, and just generally having a flowery time. Come on over there. Okay, right around here, we're just going to come on along the bottom, and maybe a couple areas around the actual petals. Same stuff in right over here. Okay. I can get my detail brush around here just to kind of help. A bit of a separation there between these guys. Just come in here with a little bit of this red paint. Just like that. And a little bit more over here. And let's get a little bit more red right around these edges. And pull that down. Get a bit more. Right around the edges. And then pull it down. What else do we want to do here? This one over here needed a little help on the right side. So I'm going to get my detail brush and just come in here with a little bit more finesse. I think I kind of like the detail brush for this. When I teach this, I think I might have people lay in the flowers with the red and then maybe just come in with a little bit of black to brush it on in some choice places. Because it's working pretty well with the red color. To just come in and just add a little bit of brightness to some of these areas. More darkness. I feel like this could go back into a dark direction. Right around here. Let me see if I can also add in a stem. I totally forgot about this one because it's just kind of chilling there. But we need a little bit of white, or a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow to get a green, and we're going to need to add a little bit of black into it. Let's pull a little bit more right into here. can see my hand has rested on it, so it's not the happiest of flowers. Okay. Get a little bit more of this dark color around the edges of these leaves, or petals, I should say. And then we can, having a day today. Pull this in a little bit.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Duke, an Alberta optometrist. When an eye emergency happens, your optometrist is trained to help. We are doctors who diagnose, treat, and prescribe medications. Alberta health coverage is available.
I got yellow or white into it. I hate when I do that. Okay. Taking a little bit of this red here, and we're just going to make it a little bit black. Scratch that, a lot of it black. And then we're going to bring one right down in there. And a bit more red, I think, as well at the bottom. Okay, I think getting to be a point where not a lot else is going to matter. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of red. Just paint that on. That looks nice. I get the edges too. Helps blend it in a little bit more. Stay a little bit more red on this. Right around here, I think, would be nice. Looking good. It's coming together. These flowers were touch and go, and they still kind of are in a way, but I mean, a little bit of fussing with the detail brush I think is making a lot of difference. So I think that when I do teach this, I'll just have them blob in some red, and then we can kind of just go in and make adjustments to the shape with the little detail brush here. Okay. Let's get a little bit more of this dark color on. This one's all fucked up. I don't know what happened here. Like, even in the reference, I don't know. It looks weird. I can't get over it. But let's just add in a little bit more black here for like a center, and then maybe have a little bit of this coming forward. Kind of like that. And we get back in this with a little bit more red. Looks all right. Happy enough. Thanks, TikTok, for requiring me to prove that I am a person. Okay. Da-ba-da-ba-da. What else we want to do here? I think we want to throw on the centers now. I think it's going to make a big difference in the overall look of the flowers. It will help me kind of understand. I missed another one. How did I do that? There's one in the middle here that I didn't get. Let's go ahead. This time we're actually going to kind of pilot my new idea. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of red with this, put it into the yellow here. And then what we can do is we can come right down here between these guys. There is a little sticky right there. And then what I'm gonna do, I think, is just kind of come up over here. The general shape looks like that. And then this kind of comes in over here. Just like this. And then if I've got that general shape down, I need it to be a bit more bloppy towards the bottom. Okay, and there's the overall shape of it. That's great. We can go in now, I think, with a little bit of the black and the reds. Mix it all together over here. And we can add some darkness towards the back side of this flower. Ah, it's too wet. I keep poking in it. Just like this. On, yeah, about that side.
Pet parents has used their pet's name as their passport.
Alrighty. Looking okay, it needs another layer, but I think what we'll do now is go in with the centers, do some black. Thanks so much for the clappings. And so what we're gonna do is just go in with the black around the center of each of these guys. So let's go ahead and add a little bit in here. I think for the center, you want to avoid making it too kind of like perfectly circular. We want it to be a little bit, well, number one, an ellipse, but also you want the edges to be a little bit rough. So as I'm going around, I'm just kind of poking at it a little bit like that, in order to make sure the edge doesn't get too weird. Because flowers, you know, they have kind of uneven centers as far as the edges go. So if you have a perfectly circular one, it's going to look like a kid drew it, basically. If you go with something that's a little bit more pokey, then it's less so. Going to do a little bit of down here. And I'm going to pull that into that dark area. We get kind of the tip of that. And as I'm doing this, I'm taking little amounts of this kind of black-red color, and I'm mixing that into my black in most cases. With this one, I mean, I don't really know what's going on there. I think that's supposed to be like an opening, but he doesn't really have a center. This guy is very much one of these. I could push that up a little bit further, but I don't want to make it too circular. And then we're going to do this guy kind of the opposite. He kind of checks out at the bottom there. And again, trying to make sure that edge isn't too straight on these is going to help a lot. Okay, and then we got a little bit of this dark black, probably like right in the center around here. Beauty. Okay, so it's coming together. We're definitely starting to get it. And we do need some white highlights on this, but I think I want to zhuzh it up a little bit more. So I want to just add a little bit more red with my detail brush in some choice areas. I think a little bit more red down here would be nice. And red's a super transparent color, so you can get away with just kind of painting it over these dark areas, and it honestly doesn't oftentimes show up too much. I got a little bit of yellow in there, but that was intentional. Showing up a bit more than I wanted to, though. That looks okay. I think I need it to be a little bit more bright, so let's get a little bit more of this yellow. And right in the center here, just get a little bit more brightness. I'm gonna take a little bit off there. And let's take a little bit of yellow with a little bit of red. And we're going to come up in here, up in here. I'm just mixing bits of yellow into my red here to help light the light parts of the poppy a bit better. So this guy in particular, strong offender. I'm going to get a bit more yellow there. Now I'm thinking about this too. I think that the most optimal solution would be go in with a little bit of a darker red and then layer some lighter red on top of it. I think that makes the most sense. Now that I've had a chance to play with this. More light around here if I can. I just want some red down there, so I'm gonna go in, dip in my red just a little bit, right around here. Looking pretty good. Get a little bit more light on each one of these flowers as I go through. So this one, we're gonna add a little bit of this light towards the back. Beautiful. A little bit more red over here, why not? And a bit more red over here as well. Looking pretty all right. I need a little bit more of this yellowy, lighter orange color on this guy for sure. And then I need, I think, a little bit more red on the backside, perhaps even a little bit more red. Thanks so much for the gift. So that's nice to see you. Okay. Take a little bit of this black over here. Ah, no, actually, I lied. I don't want black, I want red. Whoa, I don't know what just that was. There was like galaxy or something that got sent up. Wild. Okay, let's take a little bit of this red. Put it over here, and then we're just gonna paint it on the back.
When you want to grow your business, look around. Consider ATB with ATB Capital Markets, because with the right team, anything is possible.
And I'd even say proud Canadian. Hey, Canada.
Alrighty, so looking at our things here, there's a couple things that we can do, I think, to spruce it up. The main one is putting on some highlights. So for the highlights, we're just going to do them, I think, in white. So I'll take, thanks again. Oh, thanks, Bess. My goodness. And also thank you for the likes. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of white here, and we're going to mix it in. And then let me just grab this white over here. And now this is a bit tough because these detail brushes don't really have a great point on them, so I gotta be really light with my pressure. But as we go through this, we're just gonna add on a couple lines of white like this. They're a little bit thicker than I want them to be, but I honestly don't have, I mean, I have smaller brushes, but do I have smaller brushes at my paint nights? Probably not. Let's try using this guy. Take a little bit of red there. That's much nicer. It's a little bit bright though. I think, okay, what do I want to do here? I want to take a little bit of this white and mix it in with just a little bit of this orangey color so that it becomes an off-white. Almost a cream, actually. And I want lots of water. Now my paint water is kind of dirty, so it's going to get a little bit blue, but that's okay. I want it to be toned down anyway. And then let's go ahead and just take this and start piling it on. So I want a little bit right around there. And if you're ever gonna do these sorts of things, always a good idea to do it in the direction that the pedal's going. It will really, really help the whole thing look like what it's supposed to look like. UT. This one has a lot of them for some reason. I don't quite know why these ones are so much more than the other ones. Ah! I hate when I do that. I put my hand in wet paint. Cause problems for myself, as usual. I don't know, like what I just did that flower. We're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of red. Okay, it's coming along. I think we can add a little bit of these white things to the bulbs as well. And with some nice little squiggly lines. And that one's maybe too much. Take it away. Alrighty, and yeah, a couple more areas around here. Okay, looking at where we are, where we've got going on here, I think that we're at a good spot. In retrospect, I would like a little bit more vibrant colors. I don't think the green, I mean, it definitely looks worse on the stream than it does in person, but the green doesn't come out as much as I wanted to. I wish I had done a little bit more green. I also regret doing these dots here because now I'm going to come and try and like cover these guys up just a little bit. And you can see that that's pretty apparent right now, but what I'm going to do is add in a little bit of blue so that this will blend in much more nicely. The white's there to cover up the dark color, the blue's there to help it blend in. And since we got like a nice kind of sketchy background, this fits in really nicely with everything that we've done already. Add in a couple splops of that light blue color. It looks pretty good. Okay, I think that there's probably a couple more areas we can hit up to do some interesting stuff. Just a little bit right down here. And we're gonna blend that in even. Okay, so let's do a little bit of this and a little bit of blend afterwards, just to kind of get a little bit of that white going on in here. And a little bit more over there. There we go. Nice. And yeah, I mean, you keep fussing with it, you keep doing more things with it, but I think it definitely looks good enough for government work. So I think that's going to be all for this one. Things that I think could have gone better here for me personally. I think that if I had put more thought into how I wanted to do the flowers originally, it would look better. I think that I would be happier with the flowers. I think that paying, I mean, a little bit more attention to the numbering and positioning of the flowers would be good, but I do think that I did a really good job keeping the flowers in the area that they're supposed to be. These ones maybe came down a little bit lower, but my canvas is also taller, so it doesn't really matter too much. Also, this thing stands out a little bit more than I'd like it to, so maybe next time I would do something a little bit different. I would add in some more color maybe towards the top and some more texture so that it blended a little bit better, but I think I'm pretty happy with it right now. So, thanks for watching. I will possibly be back tomorrow, but we're going to see. I like painting. I'm going to work on one, and I'm one of my own ones, actually. And if it's nice, I'm going to do it tomorrow. If not, then I won't. It'll be around 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I will talk to you later. Thanks so much.